Hello and welcome to Cricket Mania. 5 years ago, or almost 5 years ago, who was then known as the pace king of Pakistan, Mohammad Amir, was found guilty of spot fixing. He went to jail. The time has now come for him to emerge. The bigger question we are asking is it time for him to come back into cricket? Ayaz?
I think so. I think though he's not finished his tenure of suspension, there's still a little time to go. But I think the point has been established. There are lots of people, including some former cricketers and captains like Michael Arthur, that the idea was to kind of use him as an example for young cricketers not to stray into this. The fact was, or is, that he was very young when he got sucked into this, spot fixing.
He was 18.
He was 18 and under instructions from his captain. So he was not one of those who had been doing it for like many years. There are two schools of thought. One is that if you're a cheat, you're a cheat. You serve out your sentence, perhaps be banned. Or the other point of view, which is again a bit like Crime and Punishment, the book, which says that if you atone for your activities and you've learned a lesson and you become an example for others not to do it, then perhaps it's fair to get you back a little earlier.
And is that because when you say you become an example for others, it's because he seems to have accepted his fate, so to speak, very and almost embraced his.
Yes, I mean, he turned a prover, so to speak. He went and, while there were the other thing, he went and said, yes, I did it. And therefore, the other two, Salman Butt and Mohammad Asif, also got into the tangle.
So and they eventually spent more time in jail.
They will have to spend more time.
They will spend more time. And he spent 6 months in the Feltham Institute in England.
Correct. He spent 6 months behind bars, and then of course he's been suspended from the game. So, but the argument or the logic is he's still got a career ahead of him. Suppose you don't allow him to play at all, he's 22, what is he going to do with his life? So you need a rehab process also put in place.
Right. Okay, so let's look at the cricket side of it now. He was a pace king, as I referred to earlier.
To be king.
He was the youngest to take 50 wickets.
Yes, he was. Yes.
And obviously seen as a man or as a bowler of tremendous promise for Pakistan.
Oh, great promise. In fact, a lot of people believed, and so did I, that he was great. I mean, he was the natural successor to somebody like Wasim Akram, and that's saying a lot because.
And Wasim Akram too anointed him in some ways as his.
Yeah, because both were left-arm pace bowlers, and he had those attributes of being able to swing the ball both ways, swing it late, very whippy, deceptive, all of that. So he was a gifted bowler. He was precautious, and unfortunately he got into this mess. And now, if he is 22, 23, I mean that's the time when most people start their careers.
Right.
Actually, a full career ahead of him, and hopefully the invigilators of the ICC have been speaking to him or have kind of marked or measured his progress over the last 4 or 5 years, and are convinced that he is fit to come back into international cricket.
Right. So, from a Pakistan team point of view, how critical is his? I mean, given the current composition of the team, given the current breakup or makeup, how important is he and his arrival? Let's say by 2015.
I think it will be a huge boost.
And we are assuming that the board wants him back, and the players
board will want him back. Yes, I think it will be a huge boost for Pakistan cricket because. I mean, they've beaten Australia in the test match only a few days back, and the collective strength of their bowlers was less than 10, 12 test matches.
Right.
So they've got a very inexperienced attack. Not that this boy is very old, but he's played quite a lot and he's gifted. So somebody like him coming back would be a big boost.
Okay. Now let's talk about the Indian context, right? So we are also our own, Board of Control for Cricket in India, the IPL. All kinds of controversies have been swirling, similar ones, right?
Yes.
Spot fixing, match fixing, and the rest of it. No one has yet been held guilty in the manner that he has been.
Yes.
Right? And suspended.
Well, he confessed.
To the extent. Yeah, and he confessed. But that was also because there was a sting operation out of which there was very little escape.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, is this to come back to your earlier point? Was he overly penalized compared to someone else? Is it that we are seeing similar situations in India and are perhaps not paying as much price as perhaps he paid?
I think the problem is global rather than just more Indian. I mean, yes, in India the instances come more into the limelight, especially with the IPL and otherwise. And Indian cricket is very high profile. But the problem is global. That how do you arrest? Spot fixing is the most insidious way of cheating because you can do it as a solo artist. Nobody would know.
Yeah. No, in this case, bowling no balls.
Bowling no balls.
Yeah.
I mean, here at least there were 2 or 3 of them who knew of each other at least. But you could be a solo artist and you bowl a no ball or you bowl a wide or you tank your wicket and you decide not to make more than 20 runs, throw your wicket and go. So it's very difficult to absolutely eradicate unless the player wants to doesn't want to get caught up in this mess. Now, there is belief and not unsubstantiated that there may be a few such players floating around, not just in Pakistan cricket or Indian cricket, but
world over.
World over, and especially with the leagues popping up, and how much can you monitor? I mean, there's always been this argument that the ICC is not done enough, but every country should have one policeman for every citizen. It's not possible.
Right. Okay, let's get Pradeep Magazine here now, who joins us. Pradeep, what's your sense? I mean, the larger question that we're asking, of course, is should Mohammad Amir's suspension be revoked? Where are you on this subject?
Well, my views are no different from what Ayaz has been saying, because look, you must consider the fact that Mohammad Amir was too young. He was, I think, 18 or 19. And in an atmosphere in the team, the captain himself was involved. And for a young player to be part of a team in which the leader of the team itself is doing something like this, he was bound to get tempted, or even as a captain is a big authority, difficult for a young kid to say no. And the kind of talent, let's forget the talent, the fact that he was young, he admitted to his guilt, he has served his 6 months of jail, and I see no harm. I see good in it that if Mohammad Amir has now reformed himself, he has realized his mistake, he comes back, and in a cricket world where we need more and more good players so that the game gets popular, I think he should be given a reprieve, he should be pardoned, and he should be allowed to play.
Right. The other question that we've been asking, Pradeep, is given the current breakup of the Pakistan team, how important would his role be, given where he was headed or likely to head when he went into jail and was suspended from cricket?
People like Mohammad Amir are special. You don't have every day somebody as young as him and as talented as him. When people saw him, and they all realized that what they're watching is something very special. In fact, he was being compared, or it was being said that he was a better bowler at that age, at 18, than Wasim Akram was, which is a huge thing, a big thing to say. So obviously, Pakistan or world cricket will need him. But I would say that since he's not been playing cricket for past few years, I'm sure he will take time to come back to the level at which he was playing. So to expect him to get back, which Pakistan would desperately want somebody like him, or any cricketing team would want someone like him to be a part of their team. But how fit he is, how keen he is, because I believe he's now doing a film. He's been signed to do a film by a Pakistan filmmaker, and I read recent reports that they're looking for a heroine. So how fit is he? How keen is he? That has to be seen.
Yeah,
but
so
obviously,
Pradeep,
Mohammad Amir, as he was when he left, would be welcome in any cricketing team, even if it is the strongest one in the world.
So Pradeep, which also sort of invites the larger question, right? Are we wanting to award this person with more latitude only because it's a game like cricket, the whole subcontinent feasts on this, and so on?
Well, look, we must not forget the fact that all these sportsmen are young. At a young age, say at 18, 19, or even if you are in your early 20s, if you are part of a setup where these things are happening, money, greed is paramount, even more important to help your team win, or through disloyal means, you're not bothered that if your team suffers. So in an atmosphere like that, even people of much older age would succumb if the money offered is huge. So so keeping in mind the age, not just the fact that the world needs him, or sports needs such talent. From a human angle also, I think if a man realizes he has made a mistake, he confesses to his mistakes, and he says that he has reformed himself, he should be given a chance.
I asked a couple of questions. Will his records and stats stand valid if and when he comes back?
Yes. indication to the contrary from the ICC. So his records as they exist will stand, including the no balls that he bowled on purpose.
Okay.
So he won't be absolved of those.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting question because frequently this has been raised in fora where these things have been discussed. For instance, players who've been banned for life, should there for corruption, should their records exist at all? And therefore also those who come back after serving a 3-4 year ban, what about the times when they may have, so should they start afresh completely? Now these are moot questions. I don't if there are absolutely satisfactory answers, but these are interesting questions.
Right, okay. So here's what is the reason behind ICC's decision to amend its anti-corruption code now?
So I don't think they are amending the anti-corruption code in the sense that will not be punished. I think the idea in the case of Mohammad Amir is just that he's got a 5-year sentence. Before the sentence is through, should we allow him to come back into international cricket? There's some kind of a pressure lobby which believes so. And then just to take a point from what Pradeep mentioned, that ultimately punishment has to be reformative. If it does not help,
all punishment,
like all punishments,
yeah.
like in every in your ordinary life also,
and so on. Yeah.
And if the guy, I mean, people get out on good behavior, people get out on parole, people go, have their sentences reduced for good behavior. So if Mohammad Amir qualifies under that, then you don't have to wait for 5 years to lapse. Maybe it can be 4 years, 4.5 years, whatever the the decision reached.
And there is a forgiving cricketing world waiting out there.
Well, forgiveness is divine.
Okay, Navneeth joins us from Hyderabad. Navneeth, anything you want to throw at either Pradeep Magazine or Ayaz Memon?
So I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here, and on the flip side, Pradeep and Ayaz, let's assume that he does come back even before his tenure. I feel that this is probably sending to other people outside. He probably has reformed and has changed as a person, and his articles and some of the articles that I've been reading about Amir as well mentions the same thing, that he's willing to even tell people to use his videos for people to see as to what they should never get into, right? But what is the kind of message that this would probably send across to the cricketing world outside in the future from a match fixing scandal perspective, if someone comes in even before the term is completed?
So I actually think it sends out a positive signal, Navneeth, because he goes and acknowledges he made a mistake. He also says that he suffered for it. It's not just the number of years, but it's also the mental trauma, the fact that he had to miss whatever number of years, maybe 4 years. The idea is not that you should not be punished at all. The idea is that you take into consideration various things. Suppose he was 33 years old, you might take a position that anyway his career is over. So why, give him more than 4 years or 5 years? But if you are 25, 26, you might say, no, let him continue and finish his 5 years or 7 years or whatever the punishment period. It goes from case to case. There is no kind of you can't take a blanket call and say everybody who is caught for corruption should have a 5-year sentence and it should be reduced to 4 years. I don't think you can work like that.
Yeah. Having said that, I think I'm on the same page, because at least in this case, he's been very honest in accepting what he did. And I think he's gone through everything that he's gone through everything that he had to. And he's really, really looking forward to making that comeback. And he's been pretty open about everything that he's feeling through the last 4 years, which makes the case pretty straightforward. Yeah.
So let's look at issues that we are facing in the context of the BCCI or the IPL, right? We've got a
which is reaching culmination shortly in the next 7-8 days.
Yeah, and this has been going on for a long time.
Yes, I mean this particular case, which is the IPL 6 scam, that's the case which is up for before that there were players there was also a sting operation in IPL 5 where some fringe players said what they had done or wanted to do and stuff like that. But yes, IPL 6 is reaching its kind of, so to speak, a climax.
Right. But are we, so the good thing about Mohammad Amir seems to be that whatever, I mean, obviously the evidence was pretty incontrovertible, but he was caught, he was put into jail for 6 months, he came out, he served finishing serving a 5-year sentence, it looks like he's going to get back. Whereas in India, it seems to drag on and on without any clear direction whatsoever.
Well, it's a combination of things. One is in Amir's case and in Muhammad Asif's case and whatever else, the state, England country moved against them after the sting operation, not because of the cricket operations. Right. Over here, it seems to have got into a prolonged tangle because of the police. There are various police kind of departments at work. The Mumbai police and Delhi police, at times they've been at loggerheads
Yeah.
in the investigation.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of administrative interest of the BCCI itself. For instance, the Chennai Super Kings team, the president of the BCCI willy-nilly has been dragged into it.
Right.
So there are so many dimensions to it. It's not 3 players found guilty of spot fixing and therefore whatever the action.
Right. Pradeep, can I get your view on this? You know, in contrast to this case, the Mohammad Amir case, where things are coming to an end and he looks set to come back into first-class cricket and so on. In India, are kind of cases or the issues involving match fixing and spot fixing and so on seem to drag on forever, and therefore do not achieve the kind of culmination and a turnaround that perhaps this one did.
You know, the major difference is that in India, betting is illegal, and there is no legally. I don't think there is great punishment if you are caught betting. Even the lawmakers are not very clear. If you leave aside the ethical and moral part of it, that a cricketer has betrayed his team, he has sold his team. What kind of a punishment in India, say, if it is proved that somebody has illegally bet or a player has taken money to underperform? The law here in India, I'm not sure whether it itself knows that what kind of a punishment can be given. A. B is that in England, see, these cricketers was not caught by anti-corruption unit, they were caught by a sting operation, and the evidence was so foolproof that you have pre-recorded a player saying that he would say he will do a no ball on the 3rd ball of a say particular over, which was recorded before he had done that act, and he exactly goes ahead and does that act. Now in England, betting is legal. The case against these cricketers, they have served their punishment through the law because they have defrauded the bookmakers. They have played a fraud with bookmakers and not with the cricketing authorities.
And the paying public.
5-year bans have been imposed by ICC, but the sentencing, the jail has been done by the lawmakers there in England. So that is a major difference. Here it's so complex. The cricketing authorities say no, it doesn't happen. Even if there is a sting operation, they say no, these sting operations are we don't believe them. So there has to be the authorities, the cricketing authorities and the police, if they catch someone, they have to be on the same page. And what amount of ban or what punishment you give to a player, finally from a sporting perspective, it depends on the authorities, ICC or the Indian board. And here it's a very complex matter. There are so many conflicts of interest.
Right.
So one doesn't know how these things pan out, and they don't pan out the way we would want them to pan out.
Right. So let's. I mean, as we head to a close, Pradeep, last question to you. What are the lessons from this whole episode? You know, for young cricketers, aspiring cricketers, players, the rest of the world, which watches cricket so intensely?
Lesson for young cricketers obviously is that if they do something wrong, they can be caught, like the way these cricketers have been caught, or earlier, like other cricketers, they are still serving a life ban. So one lesson is that. The another lesson for us, for cricket administrators, is that to create an atmosphere so that it's an atmosphere where cricketers don't fall, don't succumb to this kind of a greed. Having said that, I think human frailties, human beings are such that these kind of things will carry on as long as the world will exist, because we have seen that people do commit crime. People with money want to commit crime. They want to make more money. People with less money obviously would want to make even more money. So control it, that's a huge challenge for cricketing establishment, and how do they handle it is I wouldn't be the one to be part of giving suggestions, because it's a very complex and it's a very difficult matter to handle.
Right, Pradeep, thanks for that. Ayaz, we started by asking, should Mohammad Amir's suspension be revoked? You seem to be saying yes. I mean, everyone seems to be saying yes.
Yes.
But what should be the lessons or the the takeaways from this whole episode?
Yeah, see, I'm saying yes, but not as a matter of softening the stance against corruption or corrupt players. That's not the issue. You have, as I mentioned, there are many parameters in which to judge somebody like Mohammad Amir, his youthful, young age, the fact that he was acting under instructions, as Pradeep mentioned. If your captain is telling you, it's very difficult to say no, because your future is in jeopardy in any case. I think that, apart from saying add heft and muscle to anti-corruption, units that may be there for matches, I think, frankly, the only thing which can work in the long run is mentoring at a very young age, where your culture is such that you don't lapse into corruption. Very difficult to control, as Pradeep has mentioned, and I completely maintain it. Human frailty and foibles, and they pull you in all kinds of directions, and it just takes a moment's indiscretion, one mad moment, to land up into a mess for a lifetime.
Yeah, that's a lesson to end on. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you, Ayaz. That's all we have time for on Cricketer Mania today. We'll be back later this week. Thanks for watching.
So, thank you.